Our earliest wake-up call of the trip saw us up at 4 a.m. and on the road in the fog and the rain. We're driving over an hour and a half away, followed by one of our toughest hikes on the trip, an hour-long trudge through the mud with a river crossing. And if our efforts paid off, we'd get a chance to see one of Ecuador's most unique species, the long-waddled Umbrellabird. Our Umbrellabird isn't at a reserve or a bird sanctuary. It's actually on private land. And tour groups can work out deals with the landowners to come and see the bird. And although the hike was steep and slippery at times, boy, could it sure provide you a nice view. We had reached the spot just in the nick of time because this bird doesn't stay very active after the sun comes up. By completely dumb luck, the first tree I looked up had our bird. And granted, it wasn't the best look at the bird, but it was a positive sign to see that they were still active that morning. But then, we got a better look at another Umbrellabird in a tree close by. It's not just the bizarre looks of the Umbrellabird that makes seeing it so unique. This bird can only be found in a small part of the world, including Ecuador, and a really small portion of Colombia, and eBird lists this species as vulnerable. On this morning, we ended up seeing 4 Umbrellabirds, and one even flew down and landed on a perch that gave us this insanely good look. Shortly after this clip and after the sun had come up just a little bit more, the bird flew off into the distance, ending the umbrella show for the day. The conditions can change rapidly in the cloud forest, and just as soon as the sun comes out, the mist can move back in and really make photography difficult. We made the treacherous hike back down to the car, and fortunately, these special rubber boots they gave us really came in handy for the muddy hike. As we were driving out, we came to realize that in Ecuador, a surprise can be around literally any corner. We had briefly stopped in the road to see this rose-faced parrot, and of course I was distracted by a tree full of anis when our driver noticed a different bird running down the road. We walked cautiously down the road to where it opened up to a small stream, and there it was, the mystery bird. It was this sun bittern. And just like seeing bitterns anywhere else in the world, the rarity isn't necessarily the bird itself. The rarity is seeing it out in the open foraging. And although the Umbrellabird earlier in the morning was the main event of the day, seeing this sun bittern on the way home out in the open like this definitely made us feel like we got our fill of unique birds for the day. Another early morning wake-up had us out early in the forest looking for another Ecuadorian unique species. We're here for the Andean Cock-of-the-Rock, and because of the low morning light and thick tree canopy, this is the toughest shoot of the trip. I realized pretty quickly that I had to throw most of my typical bird settings on my camera out the window. If I was going to get anything salvageable here, it was going to be full-on manual mode, manual focus, and I was going to really have to work hard to make some good stuff here. Those efforts paid off as the bird finally started to come into better view. I was able to lock in and get a few decent shots. But sometimes, no matter what I did and how dialed in I was, they would always find that one branch to stand behind that was super annoying. But regardless, I was thrilled with the shots I was able to make with a very limited time frame to see these birds, and in my mind, probably the only time in my lifetime I'll get a chance to see this bird. The pressure to make these shots was really high, and it made me realize that all of the hard work, all of the outings I've been out with my camera doing bird photography, it really prepared me for this moment to be able to lock in and make these shots under pressure. It was by far the most rewarding outing of the entire trip. I tend to think I have a pretty good birding eye, but never in a million years would I have seen these roosting short-tailed nighthawks sitting up on this branch. So serious props to the group in front of us who pointed them out. About 50 yards further down the road, we found another unique species in this lyre-tailed nightjar. Fortunately, we were able to get a little bit closer without disturbing it, and up close is where you can really see how unique this male was. If you can't tell right away, let me illustrate here. That long thing that goes behind it is actually its tail. And this is how you can tell this is a male, because the males have tails that can be up to 3 times longer than their bodies, while females have a more, quote, normal sized tail. The morning was off to a great start, and we had seen a bunch of good species at our location, which was Refugio Paz de las Aves, a place most known for all of their variety of Antpitta. So that's what we turned our focus to. All the different species of Antpitta are very habitual, meaning they will eat at the same time, and oftentimes they will eat at the same location. So knowing exactly where to go to see each kind is actually fairly easy here. And while our first hike to go see the giant Antpitta was unsuccessful, there was still a special bird along the same trail. It was this golden-winged manakin. Where we were at the time, the conditions started to worsen as the fog and clouds rolled in, so one of the local guides suggested that we go lower on the trail where we had a chance to see a different Antpitta. And that suggestion paid off immediately as we saw our first Antpitta on the day, this yellow-breasted. Just as fast as the first one scampered off, a second one appeared and revealed to us that we were looking at a mated pair. After the success of seeing our first Antpitta, we went back to the visitor center at the refuge where they had some pretty good birds in the trees in the courtyard, and also the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life, and it's not even close. Unfortunately, my coffee break was cut short when one of the local guides radioed in that another Antpitta had been located, so we were back on the move. And sure enough, down a dark path was this ochre-breasted Antpitta.
We're looking on the vine.
Yep.
Vine. Can you see the red light here on the tree trunk? No? There are two really big tree trunks.
And our luck didn't end there for the day. Also on the same trail was this rufous-breasted ant thrush. It was pretty funny watching it walk like a chicken. More chatter came across the radio, and we couldn't believe it. Another Antpitta had been sighted down a different fork of the trail we were already on. And there it was. Back in the darkness was this chestnut-crowned Antpitta. It was so dark my camera couldn't even record video. I only managed to get a few decent stills. As we were leaving, one of the local guides pulled me aside and told me that the nickname of this Antpitta was Shakira because of the way it shakes its booty. And that's a line I bet you thought you'd never hear in an Ecuador birding video. Coming up in part 5, the weather finally turns on us. I see a moth get decapitated, and we see the rarest bird of the entire trip.